Hello, welcome to today's lecture, and I'm giving a presentation on pharmacy appreciation. And for today, we'll be taking only the part one so that the lecture doesn't become very lengthy. History of pharmacy. Now, what pushed man to learn about medicines? I don't know whether you've ever wondered where did we have paracetamol from? How did we have calamine lotion? All right. Now, the desire to treat ailments either physical or mental with medicines has always been with humans. We've always wanted to be healthy and live long. Those of us that are Christians or religious, we know God said we should eat the fruits and use the leaves to heal our diseases. But how did the ancient man know about which medicine was best for which disease? We believe first of all the ancient people learn from their basic instinct. If something pricks you, nothing will tell you to check what has pricked you. Now, the simple thing is that if it's a thorn or a nail or a needle, you have to remove it so that the pain can be less. If an oil burns your hands, we want to cool it underwater. Now, this over the time, that is our basic instinct. So, a lot of things are there that it was God given. Let me say, God gave us that we know how to heal ourselves. Sometimes you're not feeling well, and you feel like taking in some warm water, and by the time you take in the warm water, you have a better feeling. Sometimes you have some abdominal pain, okay, or stomach pain, and you know that you have not eaten. Okay, so then let me eat. If I eat, the pain may go down. Sometimes after eating, you feel you are better. If you are having headache, you may say that, oh, I've not drank water. You drink water and you feel that your headache has subsided or gone down significantly. That is what we call basic instinct. So the ancient cavemen, as you can see in the far left, knew about medicines, how to treat themselves when they are injured, basically from their basic instinct. Not only that, so one of the ways the ancient people learned about medicines was through their basic instinct. Two, from observation of nature. They observed nature, how nature operated, plants, birds, and beasts. They observe how animals heal themselves when they are injured. And I'll be showing you a couple. Now, you can see in the middle a pig that is in a mud bath. A lot of us have insulted the pig for a lot of time, think that it's a stupid animal. Why do you bath the pig and it will go back to the mud and have a mud bath? But you see, the pig has less hair on its body, on its skin, and insects normally bite it a lot. So a simple strategy the pig uses to bath itself in mud. Okay, now when the mud dry, it leaves a thick layer of mud on the skin and it's difficult for insects to penetrate. So pigs normally have a soothing or a relaxing bath, and it reduces their itching significantly. In fact, I am sure you might have seen somebody with chicken pox when they apply calamine lotion to our body, or when you are going to the village and there's a lot of insects that you think will bite you, you can just buy calamine lotion and put it on your skin. If the weather is very warm, some of us use powder when we are going to sleep and we spread the powder. In fact, all these ones that we do have been learned from what animals, birds even put sand, they have what's called a sand bath on them. So the pig is not a stupid animal, in fact, very intelligent animal. And the only way that it can have some reliefs is to bath himself in mud. Not only the pigs, some other animals have been seen, the elephants and other animals have been seen to do the same strategy. So the ancients men, by observing animals like the pig, knew that if my skin is itching and I apply clay to my body, I'll feel better. And through that, we've had a medicine like even calamine lotion. Now the last one you can see is the lemongrass. Mosquitoes normally don't grow at where there is a lemongrass because they don't like the smell. Now a lot of natural oils like citronella have been developed from the lemongrass, which has acted as an insecticide repellent. All right, so the ancient men observing that mosquitoes normally are not around this type of grass have also developed this medicine. We have leaves that are anti-snakes. So the ancient people were very good observers of nature, and they used this knowledge for their own benefits and that of others, and they learnt a lot. Others, what I've shown, and I think a lot of us call it abedru or kantose or nkoususa. And all these are names that we've called it. Okay, the scientific name is Solanum tovum. This is very common in a lot of traditional Ghanaian meals, in abenkwai and other meals. And I believe it makes you fertile. You see, we give it to pregnant women, and when the nursing mothers are lactating, breastfeeding, it gives them a lot of breast milk. It makes the pregnant women grow well. Research have shown this solanum tovum contains a lot of folic acid, which really helps the baby to grow effectively. How did our ancient parents know about this? I don't know, but I believe by observation they learned about the medicines and how to apply it. The snake, they knew it has gotten something called a venom. In the middle picture, I can see a snake. They are pushing the venom into a glass. Okay, this is what was responsible for the snake killing. They use the venom for poisonings on the spears of their arrow when they are going for hunting, so that when they throw the arrow and hits you, the venom on the snake poisons you and kills you. The soldiers use it, people hunters use it. All right, so they study that if a snake bites you and you die, there's something about the snake that makes you die, and they discovered it was the venom. All right, so snake venoms are possible. We have now even developed the antidote, the anti-snake serum, that if somebody is bitten by a poisonous snake, we can give the person the medicine for them to recover. Another one is the fish, cod liver oil. Everybody takes cod liver oil. We give it to babies, elderly grandmothers are taking it, and we realize that people that take this particular type of fish have gotten low incidence of heart diseases. And in fact, in babies and elsewhere, it improves on their memory and their brain development. The ancient people learned. Okay, before we go on, let me just ask you a few questions. Maybe if you are watching this video alone, you can watch with your grandmothers and your father, because it's going to be a question I ask you. What are the simple remedies you do at home that helps you? I know a lot of you, like myself, I remember my childhood growing up. Okay, your mother will take you and go and pluck, we'll call it nunum or simium, and will give you an enema and shake you, and you run so that they are washing, in quotes, they say they are washing your stomach. We have leaves for common cold, we have leaves for chicken pox, we have leaves for hair lice, we have leaves for boils, and a lot of skin diseases. How did our grandparents know about this medicine, these local medicines? How did they know about how to treat themselves? How did they know that precursor is good? How did they know that garlic is good? All right, that is your assignment, by the way. And I want you to write out, because I'll be asking at the end of my lecture to list a lot of them for me. So Asian, like Africans, we learn through verbal, oral tradition, through storytelling, okay, through music. That is how we document it. But foreigners documented it in a lot of other ways that after this slide, I'll be going into details about. So the ancient people learned from basic instincts. The ancient people learned from observing nature and what nature offered in healing them. Some of the medicines were also discovered by accident. We call it serendipity. Serendipity is a big word, but very simple. Serendipity. Okay, you can pronounce and try it. All right, and I'll mention two people. The first person is Sir Alexander Fleming. This person discovered, in addition with other scientists, the penicillins. And I know you've heard of penicillin before. Okay, some of us have penicillin ointment, some of us have taken amoxicillin before, glucosamine. A lot of the medicine that work ends with a cillin are called penicillins. Okay, now this man, Alexander Fleming, discovered the first antibiotic, okay, and it was called a benzyl penicillin, normally called penicillin G, from the mold. Okay, a mold is a type of organism, it's a fungi that grows on stuff. Like mushroom is a type of fungi. When you buy kinky and you see some, you leave it down, like fancy kinky, the orange type of organism that grows on it are called molds. Okay, so the mold that we had penicillin from was called the Penicillium notatum, and it was discovered in 1928 by an accident. Okay, and then there was an isolation. Now this scientist was doing an experiment. If you can see the diagram I've showed you here, okay, where the cursor is moving, and he realized that when he was doing the experiment, a fungus, penicillium, was growing and was destroying his experiment, was killing the bacteria he wanted to grow. Okay, it was later that he realized that if this fungus can kill a bacteria, then this fungus can become an antibacterial. A medicine that can kill a bacteria is called an antibacterial, and we now call it an antibiotic. Okay, then this medicine was given. In fact, people were dying from cough and a lot of diseases because we did not have the cure. Then Sir Alexander Fleming in 1928 discovered by accident that a fungus, Penicillium notatum, is able to clear a bacterial infection called Staphylococcus aureus. All right, so amoxicillin, flucloxacillin, penicillin, ampicillin, and all those medicines were discovered by accident. Another one, in fact, it's a sad story. Is a scientist, okay, German scientist called Gerhard Dogmag. Now, this scientist had a daughter, and the daughter had a severe infection of the arm. And the doctor said that if they don't amputate, if they don't cut off their hand, the daughter may die. And this scientist had a dye in his lab, and this dye was called Protosol. He developed the dye to be used for something, but it didn't work. So he suspected that if this Protosol may be active, so why don't I give it to my daughter? Maybe it may save her life than to wait and see my daughter die. So try the medicine. Then he realized that the daughter felt very well. In fact, he was able to treat the infection perfectly. This led to a group of drugs that we call the sulfonamide, and we have purified and redeveloped the medicine to the extent that now we are using it. Okay, so when you buy a medicine like Septrin, trimethoprim, sulfametazole, okay, now the sulfametazole is, let me say, a grandchild of the sulfonamide. So Septrin, which a lot of us have been buying in the pharmacy, that's the history of Septrin. Also discovered in 1922 by a German biologist. When the daughter hands were supposed to be amputated, then nature pushed him to try the medicine. So you can quote these two people, Sir Alexander Fleming and Gerhard Dogman, as people that helped in discovering two beautiful antibiotics that up to today we are using it and it's treating a lot of lives. Another way, the first one is basic instinct, the second one is observation of nature, the third one was serendipity. We discovered medicine by accident. The fourth one is research and development, and this is active. Pharmaceutical companies now run a research and development facility to find new drugs. Let me talk about the COVID now. You see, all the scientists all over the world, we are all struggling to find a vaccine or a medicine. US had another one, remdesivir, which they think they had an activity against the COVID-19 virus. Okay, that's what we call research and development. So we first collect the medicine, we process and prepare it for incorporation into medicaments. Now, this is active, and in fact, this process is not a small process. First of all, we think about a medicine, a molecule, that's how we call it in pharmacy, that will be able to do the work. Now, we do the experiment on rats and mouse and cats in the labs. Then after we have done the experiment and we think that it may work, we take it to the Food and Drugs Board and let them know that this is what we want to do. And we have tried it on rats and on pigs and on monkeys, and it has worked. So we want to try it on healthy human beings to see, okay, whether it will work. We normally call it phase 1. Once Food and Drugs Board gives you the approval to try it on human beings, it's called the phase 1. So those of us following the COVID, the trials have started with phase 1. We will test it on human beings that are not sick but that are healthy. So when we finish the phase 1 and they have tolerated, we have seen response, nothing happened to them. Then we move into phase 2. And the phase 2, we are looking for patients that have gotten the disease. We try the medicines on them to see whether it will work. If the phase 2 is successful, then we now want to try it on a lot of patients that are sick to see whether the medicine will work. If you try it on a lot of patients that are sick and it works, then we know that we have found a cure to that disease. Then the Food and Drugs Board will now give approval for the medicine to be manufactured in a large scale so that the whole world can use the medicine. Now, this process can take up to 12 years before. So we know the problem in the COVID. The United States, there's one doctor called Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he has said that even the earliest we can have a vaccine for COVID should be 2 years. And that should be the fastest pharmaceutical research and development process we have done. So a lot of us, when you hear people saying that, why haven't we gotten medicine for COVID? We are delaying. If you are in a pharmacy, you understand that it takes time because one mistake, you kill millions of people. We have to try it at the lab. We have to get approval from the Food and Drugs Authority. Then we have to try the drug on people who are strong and healthy to see what will happen to them. If nothing happens and we think it will work before we try it on a few sick people, if these few sick people we try on them get well, then we try it on a lot of sick people. If they are all getting well, then we believe the medicine is good. The Food and Drugs Board can give the authorization, the permission that we can manufacture it so that everybody can use it. It is expensive, okay? It can cost between 30 million to billions. And as I said, it's time consuming. So normally medicines that are developed like that are very expensive. Okay. And those are the medicine we call them the innovator brand. Innovative, innovator brands. All right. So you go to the pharmacy and buy a medicine like Septrin, it's expensive because it's an innovator brand. When you're buying Flagel, the original Flagel is expensive because they are innovator brands. They came out first and they used a lot of money to bring out those medicines or molecules. Now let's go back and see the ancient world. Some of us believe that the ancient people were not wise. That's a lie. Okay, sometime in P in Akan we say Bajimibre, and our grandfathers were, I believe, more intelligent than ours. And this history in pharmacy will let you know a few. Let me take you back first to a country called Babylonia. Now, this country is called Iraq now, okay, but in the olden days, Babylon. I remember we know there are Bibles, those of us who are Christian, the Israelites went there, and we remember King Nebuchadnezzar, okay, he was in Babylon. So Babylon was the jewel of the ancient Mesopotamia region. And in fact, it was the cradle of civilization. In those days, Babylon was like the United States of America. And it provides us the earliest record of practice of the act of the apothecary. When you hear the word apothecary, it's the same as pharmacy, all right? That's the old word for pharmacy. It's an apothecary. Now, practitioners of healing of this era, about 2,600 years before Jesus Christ was born, one person is the priest, the pharmacist, the physician, the nurse, all in one. So before they will heal you, they will consult the gods. The gods will give them a direction of what to prepare. They will have an invocation. They will swear and chant. Then before that, they will heal you. However, these Babylonians had medical texts. They wrote on clay with stylus, okay? They write on clay, like what Moses went to pick from God. Clay, that's what they use. And they use something like a broomstick, or we call it a stylus, to write on the clay. They record your symptoms, like when you go to the hospital, the way the doctor writes in our folder. These people were writing on clay tablets the prescription and the direction for preparing or compounding the medicine. Then there's an invocation to the gods, like what the fetish priests do. They call on their gods to come and bless the medicine and make the medicine work. So the ancient Babylonian methods, we as today, we can see that that's the same thing we are doing in modern pharmacy. A doctor will prescribe, a pharmacy will prepare, we pray for the sick. A lot of us pray that God should heal us. So in as far back as 2,600 years before Christ was born, Babylonians were recording pharmacy. In fact, and they did a lot of work. Another country that is worth mentioning is ancient China. We have record up to 2,000 years before Christ was born. In fact, there's a popular emperor, king, that is called Xinong. Now, Xinong himself investigated the medicinal value of a lot of medicine. In fact, we believe about 365 medicine. He wrote the first Chinese records of medicine. That book was called the Pentin Shao. Pentin Shao, okay? I'm not a Chinese, so forgive me. You can check more, but you call it the Pentin Shao. Now, this book, he tried the medicines of himself, he recorded it. Medicine like marijuana, what people call weed. He recorded the medicinal values of it. He examined the barks, the roots, the leaves. Ginseng, okay, what people sing about now in a lot of alcoholic beverage, ginseng power, rahuba, stramonium, cinnamon, very popular. Okay, ephedra, what we use for ephedrine nasal drop. This man single-handedly tested the medicines and wrote about it 2,000 years before Christ was born. Pharmacy was being practiced. All right, so pharmacy is a very old profession that you want to join. And this person, Shinun, up to today, when you go to China, there's a group of people that still worship him as a god. You know, the Chinese, they still worship him as a god because he contributed so lot, not only to pharmacy, but to the agriculture and their buildings. Okay, he was a very intelligent king. You can find time more to Google about him and read more about him. He had perfect remedies for healing. And he even divided healthcare into three. First, we talk about treating the sick. Second, we talk about preventing, and the last one we talk about was longevity, how to live long. So for us to wait and get sick, he said that that one is small. Don't wait to get sick. Prevent it and aim to live longer. That was from Shinung in China, 2,000 years before Christ was born. In Egypt, Egypt dates back to 2,900 years before Christ was born. We have records of their pharmaceutical records, and we call them the Papyrus Ebers, the days of the Papyrus Ebers, okay? And that book is as old as 1,500 years before Christ. Now, this book has gotten a collection of 800 prescriptions for different diseases, and they have mentioned over 700 drugs. Now, at the end of this video, I'll post a video for you to watch, a small cartoon on the ancient Egyptian, how they practiced medicines. Okay, now we knew that paper comes from Egypt. They discovered paper. Okay, that's why you can see the papyrus ebers. Okay, so they were writing. They used ink and pen and paper to write. So they have a lot of documents on how pharmacy was practiced. They divided them into levels. We call them echelons. Echelons means level. Okay, so they have people who will go and gather the raw materials from the bush. After they brought the raw materials, there's another group of people who prepare the drugs. Then after, they have chiefs of fabrication, like the compounding pharmacist or the head pharmacist who supervise. So in the picture that I've shown you, the man standing and giving direction is the head. Those mixing the medicine are on the lower level, the echelons, and they are the ones preparing the medicine. In Egypt, the pharmacy was called the house of drug. The house of drug. Later I'll talk about it. Also called the pharmacy, the house of drugs. Okay, the house, sorry, of life, the house of life, where they believe that if you are sick and you come, you will be healed. Now, in a setting such as this, the papyrus ebers might have dictated to a scribe by a head pharmacist as he directed compounding activities in the drug room. So no wonder the Israelites went to Egypt, and Moses was schooled in Egypt. I hope you remember. And that's why in the Bible, we have the 5 books of Moses. Moses wrote the first books in the Bible. He was schooled in Egypt. So Egyptians were very intelligent, and that's why we believe civilization started in Africa. So we have something to be proud about. Like our brothers and our grandfathers were very civilized. So a lot of about things we know about medicines comes as far back from Egypt. Let's go to Greece. And in starting in Greece, I'll start with their god. They call that god Asclepius. He's the god of medicine and healing in an ancient Greek religion. Okay, you can see that I'm using the small letter G. I personally don't believe in it, but they have gotten a history, so we have to give them due respect. Now, in ancient Greek, in honor of their god Asclepius, they had a particular type of non-venomous snake. When they say something is non-venomous, it means that snake was not poisonous. And this snake was used in a healing ritual. These snakes were called the Asclepian snakes. That's the name, Asclepian snakes. We leave them in the dormitories or the hospitals where they heal. The snakes moves everywhere. And they believe that if you are sick and the snakes walk on you and they crawl on you, these snakes will make you well. And in fact, we have records that it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. Okay, so the original Hippocratic oath, this is the oath the doctors will swear after we have trained them. We see a lot of doctors swearing after their training. Okay, the original oath, that is how it began. They sworn by the god Apollo. Apollo was the god of medicine. And they sworn by the physician and by Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing. And for Hygia, Hygia was the daughter of the god Asclepius. And that's where we had the word hygiene. Okay, so hygiene is the name of a goddess. Okay, and Panacea and all the other gods that will help humankind. All right, now Asclepius had a staff. And the staff of Asclepius was entwined with a snake, and up to today it remains the symbol of medicine. So you can see the medical and dental council have gotten a rod and a staff and a stool. The Ghana Medical Association has even gotten 2 snakes on the staff. Now, at the end of the video, I'll ask you a question. Do you think that those of us that we are Muslims, we are Christians, should we believe in this staff? That is the staff of Asclepius, the god? The whole world have accepted it. Should we? Is it important? It's not important. That's a question I'm going to ask you at the end of my video. And please answer and send it to my email at the end of the video. Okay, don't worry now. Enjoy the lecture after you answer the questions for me. There's another person in Greece that was called Theophrastus. Now, Theophrastus was a student of Aristotle in 370 to 385 before Christ was born. Theophrastus compiled information of scholars, midwives, root diggers, traveling physicians for record purposes. His observations and writings deal with medical qualities and peculiarities of herbs and were usually very accurate, even in the light of present knowledge. What he recorded about medicines, how we use medicines and herbs to heal, was excellent. He was also a lecturer, and he lectured to groups of students who walked about with him, learning of nature by observing her treasures at first sight. So here too we can see Theophrastus and others too were observing nature, recording their findings. So as I've said, ask your parents. Maybe some of you may have the cure to a disease you don't have a cure now. Record your findings and let's see what. So Theophrastus is called the father of botany. Please note, he is the father of botany. Botany means plant medicines. Plant medicines. There's another person called the royal toxicologist. See, this is very interesting. He was called Maditris the Fourth. He's a title of a king, king of Pontus. Now, when he says something toxicology or toxic means poison. So toxicology is the study of poison. We call this person the royal because he's king. We give him the title royal toxicologist or the royal poison specialist. Okay, he studied poison, how to apply it. Now, though this king fought Rome for his lifetime, he still found time to not only make the act of poisoning, but also the act of preventing and counteracting poisoning. He studied a lot. He studied how to poison people and how to develop an antidote to reverse the poison. Now, he used himself. He never hesitated as guinea pig. He tested the medicine on himself and he tested the antidotes. Now you can see in the picture, there is two big buckets here. I'm showing with the cursor. The big one is the antidote. The small one is the poison. Now when he administered the poison to his prisoners and they're about to die, he tries antidote to see. Some died, by the way, but some survived. Now behind him is the rhizomtomist offering fresh flowering aconite, ginger, and ginseng. What we use for ginger violet now. Now, was this really important for us to bring it up in the history of pharmacy? Yes. Because of his studies, now every medicine that is registered, you have to bring a toxicology report for us to see how poisonous the medicine is. And if somebody takes the medicine wrongly, what is the antidote? What is the antidote to it? All right. So toxicology now is done by Mampon, Noguchi, Food and Drugs Board. Whichever medicine you want to register in Ghana, we ask for a toxicology report. And here they use guinea pigs, by the way, dogs and monkeys, to see if somebody take an overdose, if a baby drinks so much of a medicine, what should be the antidote to it? So this king led us to study more about toxicology. All right. So because of what he did, for thousands of years, he was famed for one paradoxical powers, and it was called the Madritum. The Madritum. Another person was called Dioscorus. Dioscorus, in fact, was a scientist. He also did a lot. He studied medicines. In fact, he wrote a lot about medicine and wrote a first book called Materia Medica. Materia Medica, which means material medicines. Okay, just like a Bible of medicines. It's called a pharmacopoeia. Now, this person was a Rome, basically an Italian, okay, and he accompanied soldiers. He studied, he wrote a lot about it, and he contributed mightily to pharmacy, okay. So one of the persons I want us to also learn about is Pedanius Dioscorus. Pedanius Dioscorus, okay, the name is a mouthful, but you have to memorize it. He also contributed to pharmacy. Another person that contributed to pharmacy is called Gillian. And Gillian lived around 130 to 200 BC, AD, okay, after the death of Christ, sorry. He practiced and taught both pharmacy and medicine in Rome, that is Italy. Now, his principles of preparing and compounding medicines ruled the Western world for almost 1,500 years. His name is still associated with a class of pharmaceutical compounds that we manufacture mechanically and we call this medicine Galanicals, okay, named after him. All right. So there are some medicines that we manufacture like the deep heat rub and all those cold creams. All right. So many procedures Gillian originated have their counterparts in today's modern compounding laboratories where we manufacture medicines. So Gillian is one of the men that also had their name written in history for their immense contribution to the development of pharmacy. Now, before we bring the lecture to an end, let's ask ourselves, what is pharmacy? We've spoken a lot. Okay, and I always say in Akan, I would have said Udruyeni, okay, Udinsifo. In Ghana, they would have said Chufache. Okay, in the other languages, I don't know, so I don't know if you are an ever, I don't know how you call someone who prepare medicine, Hausa, Frafra, and Zima. Okay, you can find the name. So basically, pharmacy, I always want to use this word so that it becomes simple for us to learn the definition. The practice of pharmacy, based on the history that I've done, existed before the word pharmacy even came to being. In fact, it is believed that the word pharmacy might have originated from the Egyptian word pharmaki, and pharmaki meant bestower of security. Let's not forget, the Egyptians had a whole house that they called the house of life. So the pharmaki means bestower of security. Security means that your immune system, they are able to restore and bring you back to life. It is also generally ascribed to the Greek term pharmakon, and pharmakon simply means remedy. All right, so the word pharmacy itself is either an Egyptian word or a Greek word. So pharmacy is not an English word. And as I said, assuming Ghana, we made our name with Odusini. Like by now, everybody will be studying Odusini in US and they will say Odusini. Just as Kosciuszko, found in Choco, is international name now. All right, so pharmacy is a transliteration. When you say something is transliterated, the word was lifted straight from the Egyptian or Greek culture and was fused into English. All right. Now, basically, by understanding and all that we have said, let's now define what pharmacy is based on all the history I've said. We can define pharmacy as the act and sign. When you say the act, an act is a skill acquired over a period of time, like riding a bicycle, cooking, hairdressing. That is an act. Science means that it is backed by knowledge and research that what we are doing will work. Okay, there's a hypothesis, there's a thinking, and we can prove it. So pharmacy is both an art and science of one, preparing medicines, dispensing or giving medicines out, and providing any drug giving related information to the public. We can prepare the medicine, we give the medicines, and we show people how to use it. We know every details about the medicine, what the medicine is supposed to do and what it can do. So pharmacy can also be defined as the practice of preparing medicines, making and filling up prescriptions, and dispensing them. Later in Model 3, we'll be talking more about prescriptions and dispensing. The term can also be used to describe the place where these activities are carried out. So we don't say I am going to the pharmacy shop. No, we say I'm going to the pharmacy. The pharmacy is the place where the activities of preparing medicines and dispensing takes place. All right. When I ask you what is pharmacy, please, the definition I want is pharmacy is the art and science of preparing medicines, dispensing medicines, and providing any drug related information to the public. Thank you very much. We have learned a lot. Let's just run up today lessons. What you have learned is one, human beings learned about medicine because we had a desire to treat ailments and push the desire to push the ancient man to explore more about medicines. The practice of pharmacy, we have now known it is very old, before Jesus Christ came. In fact, 2,900 years ago in Egypt, they were practicing pharmacy. Then we have seen various ancient countries and individuals that contributed greatly to the advancement of pharmacy. And the last one, we now know what pharmacy is. Okay, so this is where we end today's lessons, and I've given you a quote: all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Maybe one of you will find a cure to COVID, I don't know, or HIV/AIDS. If you have the courage to pursue them, as Walt Disney said, all our dreams can come true. Thank you very much for listening to the lecture. And please, I have some questions for you. So answer all my questions. Send it to my email at markbequin4@yahoo.com. markbequin4@yahoo.com. And please, the subject should be History of Pharmacy Part 1 Assessment. I'll be marking, okay. When you send it, add your name to it. Okay, the secretary will give me all your names. So I'll be marking my register. If you finish watching the video and send me the email, and please, as I said, let the title be History of Pharmacy Part 1 Assignment so that I can easily see and read. After I've marked, I'll reply your mail and you have your marks there. So there are 5 questions. Please answer them all for me. Go through all the questions, answer them. You can just open your email and type the question directly without writing it and uploading, okay? To open your email, if you don't know how to use an email, let somebody help you. Okay, so send mail, come to subjects, okay, send to Mark Bequin for subject is History of Pharmacy Part 1 Assignment. Then when it comes to compose message, okay, you write a question, give me the answer, you write a question, give me the answer. Thank you all for being wonderful students for today's lecture. Stay safe, wash your hands, please wash your hands, wear your nose masks, use hand sanitizers. If you don't have anything doing, stay home. I believe very soon the lockdown will be over and we'll meet at the school. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Bye.